Yo yo yo, hey guys, it's me, Fusion What Ifs, and today I'm doing What If Deku Was Byakuya. Yeah, sorry I haven't uploaded in a while, guys. It's actually exam week. I'm actually recording this right after an exam. Plus, sports have had me really busy too. Also, if you check on one of the comments of a video, like someone asked too, and I was like, oh, I'm still fixing up my PC because I built my own system and stuff, which was really taxing and cost some money. So yeah, I also have to do work alongside all of that, and I was just generally busy, but I'm gonna try to upload a lot more, which I know I'm saying this for like the 15th time, but I actually mean it this time. So yeah. Anyways, I'm thinking of recording two videos today. One scripted, which is this one, then one that's not scripted. Not scripted videos usually go a lot faster and you guys like them a lot more, so I'm gonna just see how that goes. Also, tell me if you guys want to see me start doing gaming content, because I want to do gaming content, and I'm not sure if you guys would like it though, since I'm a what if channel, but like, yeah, that's pretty much it. And it's been a while, but without further ado, play my intro. Okay, with that all said and done, let's get straight into it. We would have Izuku being born with black hair and gray eyes. Features I'm gonna say he actually ended up getting from Hasashi, right? Sadly, Hasashi wasn't able to make his own son's birth, being overseas and stuff like that. But obviously, he might still be there over call, or maybe he's not over call, but yada yada yada. Anyways, as Izuku would, be born, he would start crying, and almost instantly, this pressure would fill the room. This would end up being Izuku's Ryatsu, right? It would be so vast that even some of the nurses there would start to buckle in their knees, even the doctor, right? Almost instantly and instinctively, Inko would immediately reach for Izuku, and that would just calm him down immediately. With this, his Ryatsu would also try to find a way to seal itself, because as of right now, the Ryatsu didn't really find Izuku worthy, mostly because he's a child, and also because like he's really young, so he doesn't really know what to do with all that power. So it actually ended up sealing itself, actually creating the sword, which ended up being Senbonzaku, right? And that's where pretty much all his Ryatsu would be stored for the next 4 years. And during these 4 years, Izuku would actually grow up hot-headed and quick-tempered due to being around Bakugo, and due to actually being born with a quirk, right? Which is quite rare, and he would think that he'd be better than everybody else. But this is where it would start to go downhill, right? 2 years from now, after Izuku, bullies a kid, kids will start to also develop their own quirks. But things that Izuku couldn't really prove that he had his own quirk, because he couldn't use his Ryatsu because it was still sealed. And the only thing he had was a sword, right? So, but despite like the doctor's words, all the kids thought he was lying and thought that he was quirkless, right? So eventually he started getting bullied too. He fought back every now and then, but he couldn't really do anything. Even his best friend Bakugo started bullying him too, right? This is where he realized that maybe that isn't the right thing to do. Maybe he was wrong all along, right? This would actually cause Izuku to go through a sort of period in his life where he really wouldn't have a personality, right? Because most of his life he would end up being, the kid who unlocked his quirk early, right? That would be like his whole sort of shtick. But now that he couldn't really prove he had one, he was sort of empty. Eventually, he ended up finding a hero handbook, right, that his mom bought him a while ago. And he ended up reading through it, right? And it almost inspired him the same way that all my video did. And he would decide that he wants to be a hero who follows the rules and saves everybody that he can. He would be the #1 hero through doing the right thing, not bullying kids or oppressing anybody else. He wanted to be a good hero, right? And this is where he would go through a more fundamental shift, becoming a sort of soul society Byakuya, right? Who was quite the stickler for rules and followed them to the utmost, even if it meant killing his sister. Anyways, with all of that said and done, Izuku would actually re-unlock his Ryatsu. And instantly, you would feel this burst of Ryatsu, and I'm gonna say everyone around the block could feel the burst of Ryatsu, right? Izuku would instinctively know that this was his quirk, this was his power, right? But he wouldn't flaunt it like past him would have. He just accepts it. He realizes that he can now start to train to be a better hero and a better person. I'm gonna say 4 years go by, and Izuku has been putting in the absolute work, right? He's been training in Kendo and Hakudo, getting extremely good at both of them. And I'm going to say through just being Byakuya and just having that like natural instinct, he would actually unlock Shumpo and actually start to learn the beginning stages of it, right? he would be really, really fast. Now, I'm not saying All Might fast, but he would be pretty fast, especially for being only 10 at the time, right? Now, we would have Izuku walking home from a kendo class, from his dojo, and this is where he would actually end up looking towards the alleyway, right? As he did, he would see this little girl, right? Obviously couldn't be older than 6, and she would seem to be running for her life, right? Almost instantly, he would actually end up seeing the person she's running from. This lanky, I'm gonna say 5'10" guy. Not really much info needs to be put into him though, because almost instantly, Izuku would go over there, absolutely speed blitz him, and then save Nagi, right? Even though he knows he shouldn't be using his quirk, he has to protect this girl, because if not, would he really be a hero? After doing so, he would ask her what would be happening, and he also called the cops beforehand, right? Immediately, this is where he would end up finding out her name was Nagi. She would be this little girl with white hair and tarted clothes, right? This villain having killed both of her parents while they're out on a simple date at a store, right? And she wouldn't have anything else. All of a sudden, the police would get there, arrest the villain, bring in Izuku and Nagi to get their official statements, and this is where Ingo would actually end up being, coming to, because, Izuku's only 10 years old. As this would all happen, Ingo would be told of the story, and surprisingly enough, end up asking Nagi whether or not she'd like to become part of their family, because Nagi wouldn't end up actually having any other close relatives nearby and stuff like that. Almost instantly, Nagi would nod her head, mostly because she had started to see Izuku more like a big brother figure, and she wanted to just be around them in general. Now, this is how Izuku would gain a younger sister, Nagi Midoriya. Now, another time skip of 4 years later. I'm sorry, I'm doing like multiple time skips, but there isn't really much to really talk about, just gotta speed through it. And yeah, I'll say it's the last day of UA, sorry, not UA, the last day of Aldera High, and they would all walk in as the teacher would all of a sudden put it down a bunch of papers and say, "Now this is supposed to be the career format, whatever," but honestly, I don't guess all want to become heroes and stuff like that. Almost instantly, the entire crowd would erupt, showing off their quirks besides 2 people, Izuku and Bakugo, both for different reasons. Izuku because, he's calmer now, he doesn't really need to, and then Bakugo because he's just Bakugo, arrogant motherfucker. I shouldn't be swearing, but yeah, all that aside, this is where Bakugo would end up saying that he's actually going to UA, the top school, and the teacher would say, "Oh, actually, Bakugo? I think I knew that." Alongside Izuku, I'm pretty sure, right? Because Izuku's definitely going to make it to UA. Now, people were surprised when they heard Bakugo signing up, but not Izuku. Izuku was actually a top prospect at their school to go to UA. He was extremely strong. Like, Bakugo was a cream of the crop, but Izuku was just undeniably number 1 when it came to their class. To their school, actually, even when he just joined. And it wasn't really by much. So, this is where Izuku would just nod his head, saying that he would actually be going to UA as well. And everyone would just think, well, obviously, where else is he gonna go? Now, all that aside, we wouldn't have the scene with Bakugo telling Izuku to go jump off a roof because, quite frankly, Izuku and Bakugo have fought multiple times, and every single time, Bakugo has gone completely mollywopped. So he honestly does not want the smoke, but he still would fight him, right? Anyways, with all that aside, we would have Izuku who ended up walking on the same tunnel they did in canon, but in this case, just to go pick up Nagi from her middle school, right? As he'd be walking down, he'd actually end up sensing the sludge villain, right? I'm gonna say over time, he actually developed a sensing ability because that's what Ryatsu is. Ryatsu is just spirit energy, and everybody has spirit energy. So yeah, he actually ended up sensing the sludge villain pretty easily, and with all of that, just dodge. Like, he wouldn't even use his quirk against those. He would just dodge until All Might showed up, and then All Might would just take care of it. Because he didn't want to really use his quirk, because that would go against the rules, right? And that would end up being vigilantism, or whatever the hell it's called. But, yeah. With all that aside, Izuku would then end up asking All Might for an autograph, right? Not for him, but more for Nagi. Nagi acted more like, I'm gonna say, canon deku, right? A little bit on the shyer side, but she really wanted to become a hero. And she also really loved her older brother, right? That being Izuku. Anyways, with all that aside, Izuku would end up helping All Might pack the sludge villain, and All Might would then jump away. We would now have Izuku, who having already picked up Nagi, hear an explosion really nearby, right? So obviously he would go check it out because, this is their neighborhood, they gotta figure out what's going on. And instantly he would end up seeing Bakugo. but something would be wrong. Bakugo would end up being trapped in the sludge villain, right? And this is where Izuku would sort of have to, like, now obviously him and Bakugo used to be friends, but Bakugo betrayed him and he doesn't really want to go save Bakugo. But as he sees Bakugo dying in front of his eyes, with none of the villains even attempting to help him, sorry, none of the heroes even attempting to help him, he only thinks of one thing: am I really a hero if I just let him die? Is that what a hero would do? And then almost instantly he would flash step, and I'm not gonna say he draws a sword because Izuku wouldn't need to have a sword on him, right? Actually, Izuku would have a sword on him at all times due to it actually being a part of his quirk. He just doesn't draw it for obvious reason, right? So I'm gonna say he just completely flash steps directly through the sludge villain, grabbing Bakugo, and actually flash stepping all the way back to where the heroes are, right? Nothing too much, but just enough to have saved Bakugo while also not using his quirk a lot. With this, All Might would actually end up being inspired like it did in canon and throw that punch that changed the weather, right? Showing that All Might is still there, but this would actually take a lot of time off his limit, or his time limit, right? Anyways, with that aside, Izuku would be slightly reprimanded by the heroes, but not as much as can Izuku because, number one, he has a quirk. They're going to be slightly quirkist. I think that's the word for it or something like that. And also, prime one, number two, he didn't even use his quirk that much, right? He just got there, got out. It's really simple. Didn't put himself in danger, right? Which was kind of nice because they didn't have to go save two people. Now, just, nobody because he already saved Bakugo. Alright, with that all aside, what the heck does that mean? With that aside, we would now have the 10-1 time skip. I'm going to say that All Might did actually try looking for Izuku, but I'm going to say Izuku got home with Nagi like really quickly and he just wasn't able to catch up in time, right? But anyways, 10-1 time skip, and this is where Izuku would train more in, how do I say this? Zenkensoki, which is pretty much just all four forms. And all four forms I mean Kendo, which is Zanjutsu, Ken, which ended up actually being Hakudo, Sho, which stand for, the flash steps and Shenpo, and then Ki, which would be Kido. He would actually end up unlocking Kido, sort of like how he ended up learning Shenpo, right? Just through like natural talent and just messing around with his quirk for so long. He would end up getting, I'm gonna say, like the first four, which of the first four I only know like two, which is like Sho and Byakuya, or Byakuya, or whatever the hell it's called, I'm not sure. But like, yeah, the lightning one, pale lightning, so like, yeah, he's probably only gonna use Kido. He's not gonna use Kido a lot, but he's gonna use it every now and then for whenever I need it, or it's convenient. So yeah. Also, I actually end up meditating a lot more and just getting more in tune with, I guess, more Ryatsu control actually. This is where he would actually end up going into his inner world and meeting Senbon Sakura for the first time. Now, Senbon Sakura would talk to him for a little bit, actually tried telling him his name, but Izuku couldn't get it in the first month, and it would kind of stay like that for a decent while, right? Anyways, after all that, Izuku would have had a pretty good 10-month time skip, learned quite a bit, and he'd be fully prepared, not even fully prepared, over prepared to take the UA entrance exam, right? Now we would have him pulling up to UA, and I'm gonna say he goes to the written exam, aces it completely, and now end up going to the practical, right? As he gets to the practical exam, he would end up, sitting down in the hall, having to listen to Ida yap about the fourth robot silhouette and all of that, and President Might obviously correcting him and stuff like that. Anyways, with all that aside, Izuku would end up going to the same place he did in canon, the same area, and as soon as the gates open, he would instantly flash step inside with his sword and his green tracksuit, almost instantly getting multiple points with complete ease, right? Like, I mean, like 3 seconds in, he's already like, I'm gonna say 4 or 5 points up, which is astounding. And you just keep up this pace, displaying Shenpo, hand-to-hand combat, Byakuya, which end up being auto number 4, Sho, which would be the first one, thrust, and actually a few Shenpo techniques, right? Like Senkai, which is that one move he used on Ichigo when they first met, right? The one where he teleports behind him and just like gives him 2 stabs so quickly he doesn't even know which one came first, right? And yeah, he would absolutely destroy the test. All the teachers in the lounge would be talking about him, and Nezu would be really happy to have him at UA, right? But they end up being confused about his quirk, right? because from what they know, it's just this energy quirk that manifests into a sword. But he seems to be really proficient in also controlling this energy, and it seems a little bit too broad to the point where only Nezu and All Might actually end up thinking, is this sort of like All Might? Did All Might give him these quirks? Because there's a little bit too much to it, right? But they would let it, slide, just like putting it under, suspicion and all that. Anyways, we would now have the Zero Pointer showing up. Izuku would then go save Uraraka, obviously, right? This is when he would actually end up wanting to display more of his power just to get, more views and all that by the teachers up there, because he knows that somebody has to be watching, right? So, as he would point his sword down, he would say, "Scatter, Senbon Zakura." And then all of a sudden, there would be there'd be thousands of cherry blossoms just all around him, right? And with a simple wave of his hand, he would absolutely shred the Shadowborner, right? In this beautiful but deadly swarm of tiny cherry blossoms. Everyone would be in awe at Izuku's power and even how majestic it looks. It almost as if it couldn't even harm a fly, but would absolutely destroy this massive robot, right? After that, Izuku would then look at the rebel that's on Uraraka, save her, and yeah, that would be it. Izuku would take Uraraka to not Nurse Joy, holy, not Nurse Joy, recovery lady, and that would be it. He would go home, wait 2 weeks, and getting a letter saying that he got in. He would open it with his mom, and they would see the whole hologram of All Might saying he got a bunch of villain points, a lot of hero points, getting #1, and they couldn't wait to have him at his Hero Academia. Anyways, guys, that's it. I know, kind of a short one this time, but not really much to say. The first part ended up being kind of slow, probably shorter because I actually scripted it and I didn't just go off my dome. But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed my first video back. Also, that second video I talked about, probably not gonna do it anymore. It's 9:18. I got an exam tomorrow. I gotta do some overnight review. So yeah, that's pretty much it for today. You guys might get one on Wednesday or something. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Without further ado, stay cold, stay frosted. Peace.